Erased Destiny 2, The Knower. Chapter 2, The First Case. At 15 to 6, Merigold made it to the courthouse. She could barely move her legs from the cold and sleeplessness. This was not how she imagined the beginning of a new life, a new job in one of the most prestigious positions. There was not much snow this winter, but the frost was severe, and the residents of Sintra burned everything they could to warm themselves up. The low temperature was especially hard on beggars and the urban poor, who stormed public buildings in search of warmth and a chance to dry their clothes. Some purposely committed petty crimes to at least spend the night in a heated watchtower. In response to requests from officials, the mayor ordered bonfires to be lit in all city squares, and fire adepts patrolled the streets at night in search of freezing people. But even so, Sintra seemed to be dying out. Walking to the courthouse, Merigold met barely two sheepskin-wrapped men on the way, one of whom was carrying wood. The other seemed to be looking for something to eat. He tapped on the closed doors of the stores one by one and looked under the stalls. Deprived of fire spells and also magical methods of summoning reinforcements, Etienne felt completely helpless in the face of disaster. She didn't take firewood with her because she forgot about it. She didn't think that because of the frost, merchants would hide in their homes and food carts would stop reaching Sintra.
I was afraid you wouldn't come. Come inside, before we both turn into icicles. Usually at this time you wouldn't find anyone in the courthouse, but now, you understand. Some people spend the night here. It's always a little warmer.
Merigold was greeted by an old woman standing on the steps of the courthouse.
Good morning. Where can I leave my things?
I'll take you to your apartment right away. Although I advise against staying there for more than 10 minutes. You will see for yourself.
Not comforted by her guide's words, Merigold followed the woman. Behind her trotted two pack mounts and Artois hid in an amulet. Even to him, the unusually low temperature was taking its toll.
Judges and knowers live in this tenement. Your premises are on the first floor.
The woman covered her mouth with a thick shawl. They entered a spacious 3-room apartment. Merigold looked around the living room and sent the summoned steeds away with discomposure. Her luggage scattered across the floor. The sound of breaking china reminded the girl of the mayor's gift. With a rush, she ran to the packages to save the precious crockery.
Except for wood, nothing is missing here. The common bath is located in the basement. There you have a dressing room, here a bedroom and a kitchen. I see that you brought dishes. Unnecessarily. A quilt would be more useful.
Do you also live here?
I used to live, but I moved out. You know, in the summer they often break our windows. People don't like the knowers, they make our lives miserable. I have a house in Cold Pits, it's just outside the city walls. A few months of work is enough to put aside for a nice cottage.
And no one teases you there?
The knower smiled and wrapped her shawl around her again, which Merigold interpreted as an order to leave the apartment.
No one there knows what I do for a living. I said I work at the inn as a cook. I like to cook, so why not? You'd better come up with an alternate version of your daily life in case someone nosy decides to question you. For your own sake, don't brag about working at the court.
They went to the court and Etienne reminisced about her former hiding from Kyle. Making up her own biography she had mastered to perfection, lying was not difficult for her. If Merigold had been like Etienne, she would have excelled in her new situation. For the time being, everything seemed foreign to her, difficult, incomprehensible. Why did people tease the knowers? After all, the knowers were helping them, giving justice to the wronged.
You must walk appropriately dressed. We all have the same clothes. The first thing you should learn is silence and patience. The knower does not speak during the hearings until the judge asks his opinion. He usually does so only before the verdict is announced. Change.
She handed Merigold a too long and too loose black robe resembling a grain sack. She herself wore an identical one, only more tattered. Merigold's outfit reached down to her ankles, and the girl thought she would be not only the youngest, but also the lowest among those working at the court. As the knower showed Merigold around the first floor, Etienne showed her the trials she presided over. Convicts' reactions. Although fair, the verdicts were always met with disapproval from at least some of the palace's residents. In worst-case scenarios, people protested or tried to make riots. Etienne showed Merigold like some of Palace's residents left after her decision. Like lava mages attacked her because they misunderstood one of her decrees. She showed her protest of wives of convicted water mages. No one cared about the justice.
No one should pay attention to us, especially the accused and witnesses. We look inconspicuous, it's true, but our job is extremely important. Often we are the ones who decide the guilt of the people being questioned. The judge determines the punishment.
Shall we attend the trial today?
3. The first two are typical for Sintra, petty crimes that we have many here. The last one will be more interesting. And if you prove yourself, you will get your own investigation. The judges commission us to explain the cases that the guards can't handle.
At the canteen, they were given a cup of warm milk and a few slices of bread. Grateful for the first meal of the day, Merigold consumed her breakfast standing up, not looking at the guide, looking for familiar faces with her eyes. The knower was giving information in a voice so hushed that if they hadn't been standing right next to each other, Merigold wouldn't have heard any of what was said.
Do you see that man? He's sitting in the corner. That's Judge Alfred. An extremely antipathetic gentleman, no one likes to work with him. If you don't want to make him dislike you, don't speak until he asks you. And never say more than he wants to know. The one who came in now is Martin the knower. He's good, especially at investigations. He will push you around because you are very young, but ignore him. He has no power over you and can't demand anything from you.
Etienne looked at Martin. Something in his way of moving around made her wary of him. She changed color of her eyes to silver, just for a moment, to verify that Martin was less handsome than he made it look like. Man noticed Merigold immediately and walked towards her. Before he reached them, Etienne placed 3 fingers on her heart, the way seekers greeted each other while conspired.
Hello, young lady. Pleasure to meet you. Are you the one who would replace our dear Amanda?
Yes, that would be me. The courthouse casts long shadow, doesn't it?
Indeed. The shadow is dense here. I am glad we would work together. If you feel lost or nervous, don't hesitate to come to me. I would gladly help you.
2 seekers verified that they were indeed seekers, both in rank of shadow. Amanda looked at Martin with astonishment. The knower was never so nice to anyone. Never greeted anyone. Never offered his help. Etienne elusively changed her appearance to get another cup of milk. This did not escape the attention of either the judge or the knower, but only the boy standing in front of her reacted.
It's not polite to steal milk like that.
It's not polite to accost a girl without introducing yourself first.
Etienne summoned poison ivy. One tendril knocked the ladle off the hanger, and as the cook turned toward the source of the sound, the other vine pulled extra slices of bread from the basket. Then the black-haired pale Merigold slid a cup under the pot and got a 3rd serving of a warm drink. Fully stocked, she returned to the guide, who pretended not to notice anything.
You have character. That was Judge Phineas. A young man, very friendly. It's a pity that you started your cooperation this way. Judge Lester hasn't come yet. He is always late to tell the truth. Also for the hearings. If you've already eaten, we'll take a look at the court docket.
They left the dining room and headed toward the board located just inside the entrance.
We start with food theft. At this time of year, it and firewood theft are the two most popular crimes. Then a case of battery. And finally something nice, murder. Murder? They switched cases again.
She shouted at the janitor, who reluctantly poked his head out of his cubicle. In a few not-so-polite words, they established that Phineas had asked for Amanda's support, so her kidnapping case went to Liliana.
We can't help it. It's the judges who decide everything. If you mess with them, you'll get only despicable cases. Well, nothing left to be done here, let's go to the hall. The first hearing is about to begin.
Merigold sat down next to Amanda on a low bench at the side of the courtroom. She had a perfect view of Judge Alfred and the beggar whom the guards had led to the center of the room.
Ferdinand, Abella's son. Is that right?
Yes.
You are accused by the baker Titus of stealing bread from his cart. Do you admit it?
No.
Warned not to speak, especially to this judge, Merigold listened to the hearing. In the meantime, she looked into the defendant's memories, but found no theft, not just bread, there.
Louder, please. Where were you 3 days ago at 5 in the morning, when the baker was taking the bread out of the bakery?
I was walking down the street near the bakery. I was waiting in the hope that one loaf or at least a roll would fall off the cart into the snow and I could take it. Nothing fell, so I followed the cart towards the hospital. There the road is the most potholed and most often the bread lands in the mud. And such no one but beggars want to eat.
Did you take the bread from the cart?
No. The cart stopped in the front of the hospital. The baker was loading bread into nurses' baskets and someone jumped on the cart, some kid I think, and threw a whole pile of rolls off the cart. He took 2 or 3 rolls himself and ran away. I bent down to pick up one of the ones that had fallen and then the baker hit me. He shouted that it was his and that I should get out. A guard passing by heard this and dragged me to the guardhouse. I didn't steal anything.
The judge left the room and Amanda followed him. If it hadn't been for a poke on the shoulder, Merigold wouldn't have noticed that it was her turn.
Did he lie?
The judge asked his question directly when the three of them found themselves in a tiny room adjacent to the courtroom.
No.
Amanda confirmed her protégé's words with a smile. The judge nodded and returned to the defendant, and Merigold and Amanda remained in the cramped room. From there, they heard the verdict.
Ferdinand did not steal Titus' bread. Titus, for the false accusation, is sentenced to 5 loaves of bread to Ferdinand as reparation and 20 loaves to the city orphanage as fine. That's all.
Dissatisfied with the verdict, the baker stood up from his seat and shouted in the direction of the judge.
He's a flea-bitten beggar. He stalks behind my cart day in and day out and just looks at opportunities to roll something.
And 50 loaves in favor of the court for brawling in the courtroom.
Before the baker had cooled down, the judge stepped out into the hallway. He walked toward the dining room, and Merigold followed Amanda to the floor. She decided that whatever Alfred was, he had given a fair and sensible verdict.
Others thank us, Alfred never. You did well. I heard about your merits for Sintra, but I had doubts about whether it was the right job for a young girl.
I am a death mage. We train in untruth detection and interrogation techniques, just like seekers. I have to admit that I like working in the court.
I am glad, but after lunch you will change your mind. He knew I was retiring. If you want, go unpack. The beating case starts in an hour. Will you find a way to your apartment on your own? Great. I don't want to go out, if I don't need to.
Through the window, Amanda pointed to a worker's tenement. Merigold decided that running across the icy roof would expose her to unnecessary injury, so she went down to the first floor, wordlessly passed the group discussing her young age, and went outside. She immediately regretted it, because the temperature outside remained obscenely low, and every breath painfully stung Merigold's lungs. The girl felt sorry for everyone who had to spend more than 5 minutes outside, Ferdinand in particular,